Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast. And today's guest is Tom Cawley, who's the interim CEO and executive chair of MaxMine, who provide a data platform service that improves mining operational efficiency, profitability, safety, and sustainability in mining. Tom has over 25 years experience in business, innovation, technology, and energy across a number of sectors, including mining, renewable energy, and oil and gas. And he's here today just to tell us a little bit more about MaxMine and why AI is and data is needed more than ever in our industry, and obviously a lot much more. So let's welcome Tom to the podcast. How you doing, Tom?
G'day, Rob. Pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate your time for coming onto the podcast. Just wondering if you can just tell our audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career and your...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I graduated, and I should say, in 95, and as a mechanical engineer that had a bit of an interest in software, and I went to General Motors Holden and started testing vehicles and actually screaming around test tracks with laptops in the passenger seat, setting up vehicle tests and integrating data and data buses. So I guess that I was probably a young digital native engineer. Eventually left Holden and then went into industry, set up a business in 2002, optimizing very large scale in sites for energy efficiency. So automotive sector and then into mining, and then we started modifying blast furnaces and then got into rail, then into mining load and haul with FMG back in 2010 at Cloudbreak. We started looking at how to save fuel and quickly came to the realization that the data platforms in mining were sparse and the data quality was terrible. We couldn't do the analysis and provide the feedback we wanted. So we figured we needed to build a data platform. And then the second thing that happened was that we realized that actually we could see waste in driving behavior, but actually we could see waste in the entire operation, and understood then that actually the better approach was to optimize the entire mining fleet. So around 2015, we then founded MaxMine, got our first commercial site in 2016.
Okay, great. Wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about MaxMine, so I'll more about the company.
So we're a platform that manages and optimizes mining haul fleets. So people use the data insights, the insights we provide to improve productivity, reduce operational waste. So reduce idle time, reduce off-haul travel, optimize payload, optimize truck performance. Improve shift change times, all that sort of stuff. So, we're supporting the ability to get to full potential of a mine. We've got a vertically integrated platform that starts with hardware on mining trucks that accesses all of the available sensors on the mining truck. That's unique. We're actually across all OEMs with about 10 million hours of data. Then we have a cloud platform, an algorithm platform, and a reporting platform. And then critically, which a critical difference I think with MaxMine is that we're a SaaS business model. We engage with our customers and work with them on a daily and weekly and monthly basis for the duration of the contract. And we bring data analytics, data science, and business improvement. And so what we're actually doing is it's giving the customers the tools and ensuring that that we've got the reporting and systems that integrate into daily operations and ensure that results are delivered. So more than just delivering data, or more than delivering just tech, it's delivering insights and actually working with the customer to get the result, rather than just delivering the tech.
Why would you say it's sort of more critical now to invest in sort of AI and data? And I know from experience that if you obviously want to improve, you need to measure your activity and output to then make implement strategies based on the data that you've collated to then improve. So yeah, why would you say you need to sort of invest more in AI and data, and it's more critical now to do that?
Well, so the first thing is, and I'm sure you know this, but people are often floored by this fact, which is that so mining is one of the least digitized largest industries in the world, and that's because we're in a hard to do tech space. We're very high barriers to entry. Now, evidence of that is that today, less than about 3% of the world's mining trucks are actually automated, and none of the other major assets are automated. So that's excluding tele-remote in the underground, right? So what that's telling you is that technology is hard in mining and moves slowly, which means that then that the quality of data and measurement in mining is surprisingly low. A lot of people are starting to understand just whereas in a manufacturing facility or a processing facility which has SCADA data, and a manufacturing facility where you're timing everything, mining, the measurability of processes in mining is still relatively low compared to other industries. And this is something that McKinsey picks up on both of these things and point to like an 18% productivity improvement coming from data. And given the industry is still at that low level of digitization, the opportunities remain large. So, and what we're seeing at the moment is that we're seeing a new generation of people coming through the sector who are data native and are expecting to be able to measure their processes and expecting and know how to use data and want to see data. So we're seeing a real shift. And so then you're asking, then people, what you're getting is a diversity of data platforms. And you can get cheap data platforms that provide low-level data, which is in the first instance revealing. But once you get beyond those first improvement measures, you're like, but now I need to figure out X, Y, and Z, and the data's not there, or the reporting capability is not there. You can't get the information you want. You can't implement it. You can't measure it, and you can't manage it. So mining's a bit unique in the sense that there's a huge data opportunity. And so when you come to AI, and this is, I think, AI is super interesting at the moment, and the world's still trying to figure out how to do it well, right? So the difference between, say ChatGPT, which can give you some awesome insights, in operational industries, you need to deliver precision insights, right? If you deliver an insight that's got 20 or 30% accuracy, it's kind of clever, but not useful. Like the people who are standing there can tell you the same thing anyway. You haven't done anything useful. The other thing that you've got in mining is it's full of subject matter experts, and they're all sitting in front of screens, or they're sitting in a Land Cruiser looking across a pit. And if your AI comes up with something silly, the credibility sort of departs on horseback, so AI needs to be the level of precision required to be useful in mining. It's far higher than, and I think in any operational industry, it's far higher than just getting some insight from ChatGPT. And the next challenge you've got then is, whereas with ChatGPT, you've got this awesome sort of truth set. You can download the entire internet. And there's so much stuff that's published, legal document, medical research, full stop. But in mining, most of the data, i.e. is not available, was never collected. Or it's private and you can't get at it. And then the next problem is you don't have a truth set. So the ability to say, hey MaxMine, what's my best truck digger combo today? That's much harder to do, and you need very high resolution data to be able to do that. I could keep going, but that's probably. I mean, what you need is just one final point is AI needs lots of data to get to a level of certainty to be able to say something. And if you don't have a lot of data, it can't get to a level of probability of saying, yes, I'm pretty sure this is X or Y. And just to be clear too, I want to clarify the difference between operational mining and, say, geology. AI is delivering huge benefits in geology, turning small amounts of information into far more useful information. But operationally, you need this high level of precision.
With obviously increasing emphasis on ESG reporting, sustainability mining practices, emerging technologies like obviously AI, how has this impacted the mining industry from your perspective and from a, I suppose, data perspective?
Well, so mining, for starters, is like technology. Mining's hard to do. Mining is hard to abate, right? So, and the problem is huge. Like, so in Australia, which is an energy-intensive economy, 6% of our total energy use is just in load and haul in open cut mining. Not the trains, not the boats, not the trucks and buses, and none of that, just load and haul. Right now, globally, in terms of what's out in mining and in terms of low emission equipment, there is not yet a single consist of 6 trucks and a dig unit proving batteries or hydrogen, right? So progress at the moment is very limited. Rio's done some awesome stuff in Kennecott. They're running on renewable diesel, but that's a first generation renewable diesel that doesn't have a large sort of feedstock. So that's not a scale solution. It's awesome that they've done it and they've proven that it works, but there's not a scale solution there yet. So progress on actual on the ground progress on decarbonising load and haul is very limited. So in the near term, what you can do with data is start to reduce your energy intensity, right? So your carbon intensity, your energy intensity, it has and we think you can sort of make progress of 5 to 15%. McKinsey again sort of claimed 20%, but 5 or 15% reductions in fuel intensity in the near term, and you can do that profitably without capital, and make material progress towards your 2030 targets in the near term by optimizing the efficiency of your haul fleet. So that includes, for example, ensuring that you've got payloads optimized, reducing off-haul travel. Off-haul travel is actually huge. Idle time, and driver behaviour. So you can deliver near-term improvements, make significant steps towards your targets. But to do that, you need to be able to measure with high granularity and have good enough data quality that is trusted to drive, enable, and sustain behaviour change. And you can't do that if you're not measuring your process.
What would you say the top 3 to 4 challenges that mining companies face today to see them through for the remainder of this decade? Because obviously things don't change overnight, especially in mining. What would you say the top challenges are?
I think operating costs are increasing, like the inflationary impacts are increasing. Labour shortages, particularly in skilled labour. Those are sort of, and then turnover. And turnover is another one where data can help you. So turnover, we see very high turnover of leadership in particular, and operators on sites. And what that means is that knowledge, you'll get this sort of wave of improvement and then loss of improvement or loss of performance as the site leadership changes and new people come in and get back up to speed. If you've got good systems and good processes, you shouldn't suffer so much from turnover. Like, so we did some work on a residential site where I think the site it had a long-term low turnover, but then they were moving towards automated trucks, and turnover I think increased to about 18%. But by using MaxMine and giving drivers feedback, you could get a newbie driver to pretty much almost best practice within a swing or a swing and a half, right? By providing feedback. So that's a very sort of practical example. But then also, if you've got very good systems and then a new superintendent comes in and they follow the procedures and the data, then you're going to have less of a fall off. So well implemented data systems can reduce the impact of turnover. I mean, to be fair, a good data system should be able to help somebody who's not such an awesome supervisor or mine manager perform like a really good one. You know what I mean? So, that's what you should be able to achieve with data.
What tips can you give on decarbonisation strategies and solutions in modern mining today?
So I think to varying extents, people are looking at lots of technology options. And one of the problems there is that there's a lack of probably modelling to enable those decisions. The decisions are capital intensive and also come with high production costs, high production loss risk. So, it's hard for people. There's a high barrier to decision making, a high barrier to approval, because you don't have good evidence to prove whether or not something is a good idea. So again, data and modelling, modelling in particular, you can get comfortable with a proposed change if you can see a sort of reliable model. And actually, in my previous life, in manufacturing and in the case of the paint shops in automotive, the steam injection to a lead blast furnace, modification of a pulp mill, in all of those cases, we used models that got the leadership comfortable that what we were proposing was a good idea. And once they got comfortable with that, then they could model the impact of the change. They could see that the investment, we could almost risk assess using the model. And they got comfortable that the investment was likely to deliver an ROI and not cause a loss of production. So I think data modelling is one for deciding what you're going to do with your fleet. Then the next option would be to improve existing efficiency, because that's something you can do straight away. You get sites and companies thinking about how to optimize energy, while the raft of technologies become commercialized. Because at the moment, so there are a lot of commercial technologies you see being proposed, but they're still at very low levels of commercialization. So it's going to be a while before the options are well commercialized and the risks of deployment are low.
What would you say the implications of recent uptick in M&A activity within our sector, particularly for open pit mining and obviously fleet management systems?
Yeah, so look, it's super interesting. I think what's happened, and I think it's almost a little bit on the back of that sort of change in mindset that we saw around the transition that we've been talking about, where investors are now going, wow, actually, we do need mining to decarbonize. And so investors are looking at opportunities to get exposure to mining, and depending on your investment thesis, you might prefer exposure to mining tech. When it comes to load and haul, so I mean, the opportunities in load and haul remain huge. I mean, I think I've mentioned the numbers: $80 to $300 million of OPEX for fleets, and you're moving $1 billion, $500 million to $1.5 billion in materials per mine. So that the value delivery potential is high. But in this space, with it being hard to enter, there aren't that many decent scale investment opportunities. iVolve got acquired by Komatsu in December, and with all the other major FMSs and in optimization technologies having been acquired by the OEMs prior, there aren't that many investment opportunities left. We're actually one of the few that remains independent. So I think there's sort of an uptick in activity around investors wanting in mining, but also consolidation and people wanting to build wrap-ups of mining platforms and mining technologies and leveraging the synergies, particularly the sales, the channels to market through wrap-ups. So I think that's what's driving the activity in the space.
What would you say is key to a greener and sustainable future within our industry?
Well, mining's got this double net zero imperative, right? We must supply the minerals of the transition, or there is no transition. So we must do that. But then we also need to decarbonize in an environment where some of the ore grades are declining. We're also getting into new mineral types that we're learning how to mine well, right? So that's getting into volume, like lithium. So what we're needing to do is mine more efficiently and mine better than we have ever in history, and we need to be able to demonstrate that we're doing best practice, right? So, and I think unless you're doing that, you're going to struggle to get social license. And you're also seeing an emergence of this with just in the case of nickel and the concerns around the sustainability of various nickel suppliers. I think that has a real potential to gain momentum and sourcing material from unsustainable locations is going to become a problem for a lot of buyers of commodities. And you might sort of go, oh, that's sort of off in the future, but you are seeing lots of companies post-COVID and sort of changing their supply chains and accepting higher cost supply sources to ensure that they don't get caught up in global supply constraints, right? So, moving away from Chinese supply or bringing supply onshore. So I think these sort of mega trends certainly can gain momentum. And so I think that's a big challenge for mining.
And concluding, what can MaxMine offer anyone obviously listening to this podcast, but offer the mining industry? Obviously, you have a AI and data platform. What would you say you can, if someone was listening, what can you offer them as a service, or even any advice maybe on their mining operation, or even if they're in exploration?
Yeah, so look, we have this unique high-resolution data set, which enables you to measure and optimize a greater range of processes than that's been hitherto unseen. So that's a unique value proposition. I think the other thing that we bring to the table is that we are focused on delivering insights and improvement rather than just data. So I mean, truly, the way we operate is that you get excited when you get a new contract, and for a lot of companies, you deploy, you get paid, and that's their party. But for us, we don't really get that excited until we see upticks on sites. So when we see the rhythm of the shift square up and the losses from shift breaks, reducing, and payloads increasing, and off-haul travel reducing, so we are hell-bent on ensuring that clients have the data and the tools to deliver improvement. So, and I think the industry does need to better understand how to use data. Like, so, the advice would be, to systematically look at where you're losing productivity. We've got an approach to that that we use, and then ensure that you're integrating, that your management operating system is fit for purpose to deliver the outcomes, but also that the products that you build or the tools that you build are integrated into that business model, and that they're getting used every day, and that the information is arriving at the right quality at the right time in the daily operation. data that arrives a bit late after a key operational meeting is kind of essentially useless, right? So, making sure that you have integrated what you're doing into a client's process is critical. A lot of technologies are reasonably inflexible, and so that is what it is, and it doesn't necessarily fit with a client's operation, and there's a risk then that the data doesn't arrive in a timely and useful form, so you don't get the engagement, you don't get the buy-in, and your technology project runs the risk of failing.
Tom, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you giving us an overview of what MaxMine does and how it can help our mining industry with obviously AI and data sets, and obviously the importance of data in modern mining today. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they have any questions, if they want to follow obviously some of the case studies that you may be involved in and what you're doing for mining companies in our industry, how can they go about doing that? What social media platform channels are you on?
Look, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm not a big user of the other socials, but definitely on LinkedIn and our website. But that's the best way to get in contact, and more than happy to engage and share insights and see how we can help people.
Yeah, no worries. All that information will be in our show notes for easy access, so our audience can reach out to you. If they want to follow your story, if they've got any questions around some of their AI that they're maybe implementing, or some of their data that they may want to analyze, obviously in more detail. So yeah, thank you for your time. And perhaps you might want to come on next year and give us maybe something else that maybe
there's always something going on in this space. There's heaps to cover, heaps to discuss.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that episode. As always, please keep sharing these episodes far and wide. Obviously AI and data is becoming more, I suppose, more evident in our industry, and I suppose any industries around our world. And it's important that we sort of educate ourselves and understand what this technology can do for us in our working daily lives. So appreciate your continued support, and until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes, and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.